Welcome back to the Backseat Startup Podcast with your host, Andrew Hutton.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the show. Andrew here, and I'm on with our guest for today, Simeon Gow of Sorted AI. Really excited to dive into what Sim is building, as well as do what we do in this show, the Backseat Startup, which is share advice, wisdom, ideas with you, strangers on the internet, by taking questions that we find on Reddit. That awesome curation of the world's everybody, but we'll go find real live questions that people are having. The internet decides what's happening today and what we're going to dive into. So there's always that little bit of jeopardy. And we're going to have a lot of fun, Sim and I, diving into questions that are going to be relevant for you. So stay tuned for what we dive into. But in the immediate term, before we get into that, let me welcome Sim to the show. Sim, welcome. Excited to have you here.
Hey, Andrew. Yeah, thanks for having us. Real pleasure to be on the show. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Do Africa and New Cards, who were also in our cohort because they're working on some really cool things as well.
Absolutely. The Startup Founder Daily cohorts are just kind of rising to the top, some really cool startups. And so we were just chatting backstage before you started recording here, and you were telling me all about Sorted AI, and let's dive in. Give us a little bit of the overview. What have you got? What have you been building? And it's a team. So Sim is the co-founder and CEO. He has an awesome team. But yeah, tell us a little bit about what Sorted is and is doing and what you're building.
Yeah, so we want to change the way people cost construction projects. And we're currently building something that lets you compare materials prices from different merchants in your area or region.
One thing I wasn't mentioning before, but something I was thinking as you were explaining all this, I've recently moved into a new house, a very old house. I think that's way more common over in the UK where everything is 10,000 years old, right? But I live in a part of the country where there's 200-year-old houses, and everything is a project, and it is impossible to find people to do things, little things especially, but big things too, because there's just shortages. There's delays. There's just absolutely challenges when it comes to the world of trades and those sort of on the ground projects. And I know you have experience with that. Maybe not quite from doing home renovations like I'm trying to do, but actually more deeply doing construction. So can you actually tell a little bit about your story? Because I think it's really quite amazing how you grew up doing this, and now you're solving these problems.
Cool. Sure. So I wouldn't say by any stretch of the imagination I'm an experienced tradesman or anything like that. But I've done everything from labor on site through to study civil engineering, worked in small civil engineering and architectural practices, have then worked in IT consultancy for major projects, major contracts. And sort of always had a fascination with technology. So I guess this is where I am. But I think one of the key things for me is 98% of the UK market is small or medium-sized construction businesses in the construction sector, right? And they are largely underserved by software, and to change anything, to change the way they do anything, costs a lot of money. And so what we're trying to offer is a solution that lets them take their life back. So instead of spending hours trying to find the cheapest materials, they can find the cheapest materials in a couple of seconds.
You said it so. You almost said it too quickly when you introduced Sorted, which is do costing in seconds. I think if someone is listening and knows that struggle, like you were telling me how you've had conversations with these tradespeople, it is immediately the thing, right? Whether that's saving hours,
there's
getting projects on time.
So there's I've had really frank discussions with tradespeople in burger vans and cafes and that sort of thing, and what I ended finding out was, I would ask them 3 questions specifically. One was, what's your biggest problem? And it tended to be costing. The second thing was, if we could help you cost in seconds, would that change your life? And it was like, yes. And the third thing was, if we didn't, and if you had to continue costing the same way that you do, how would that affect your life for like the next 10, 20, 30 years? And yeah, we had guys break down on us because they'd never been taught how to cost. And actually, in some cases, I was the first one asking them how they were doing. And what I ended finding out was there's 2 ways that they end up learning to cost, but that's with a caveat. Either it's they go through. So you've got the college sector here in the UK. It's different to colleges in the US, but basically 3 to 4 years training, you become a carpenter, heating engineer, that sort of thing. And the curriculum in the UK hasn't changed in the last 50 years for the trades. So they're still not taught how to cost, and they weren't taught how to cost 50 years ago. And that to me is nuts. And then the other way that they get to running their own firm is, they work as an apprentice with their dad's friend or uncle or whatever. And they try and have to pick up on the job. But then they're learning for people who have had to try and pick up. And what we're trying to do is fix this. In the UK at the minute, the construction sector, I forget the stats, but we've got the biggest amount of insolvencies, I think, of any sector. We've got one of the highest rates of suicide, mental health. And actually, if you think about it, if we can give these, men and women, their time back, with their families,
There's just so much to it. I wish we could pull on every single one of those threads between giving tools that maybe make the difference between a business working or not. The fact that over the last years and decades, these tradespeople are more entrepreneurial in a good way. They're owning more of the business. It's on them. But as one founder to another, that is the ultimate stress. Where's your next project coming from? And if you're spending 2 hours a day doing something that could take 2 minutes, like you said, whether it's time with your family, whether it's time to prospect more, it can tip the business from being this slog until it dies, or a thing that sets a family up for generation. So it's frankly really exciting. We're not overselling the impact you can have, right? And that's, I'll just pontificate. That's the beauty of startups with give me a lever and a point to stand on, right? And I can move the world, right? Yeah. So really exciting stuff. I hope everyone can feel that Sim is not just building technology, but really helping people, families, businesses. And that gets me excited. So we could go all day, but we can't. We're going to switch gears and solve someone else's problem. Yeah. And as the point of this podcast, one founder with another to the universe, let's go solve some challenges. So let me share my screen. Let me pull up Reddit, which is always a risky thing. If we end up blurring things out, you'll never know why, but there'll be a mystery. So like I said, I've looked through a few of these. Some of these are interesting. If a record has no mistakes, the record has no vibe. I don't know what that means. Here's one that I liked: effective marketing strategies for Bootstrapped founders. Probably a very important thing. Maybe we can come back to that.
Well, I think there's 2 things. I've heard a couple of people say the 2 most important things is, can your competitors do what you plan to do? If it's a yes, don't do it. And the second thing, is what you're doing a hell yes? And if it isn't, then don't do it either. So if
you mean hell yes for you as a founder, like this isn't something you really want to take through the grind.
So do something that your competitors can't do and make sure it's a hell yes in terms of you doing it. I would use an expletive, but yeah. Probably not.
I would add, I think most people probably even overestimate what their competitors maybe not can do, because you could, have you ever been asked, would Google do this or Amazon or something
Yeah.
stupid like that? Like there's a point of that that's, just way too overarching,
Yeah.
because it's, would they do it, right? And are they set up
Yeah.
to do it? And are they set up to do it in a way that, like, everything you said, we haven't obviously done a demo of
Yeah.
Sorted and talked about the functionality and like why it works. But I have a hunch that if someone's a tradesperson and they hear you just talk about like all those things at the, this is what we're trying to do for you, this is what we're going to
Yeah.
give you back, you're in the game, you're selling, you're at least getting a lead, if not a customer.
Yeah.
And no big company is going to do that. No one's going to lead with that much empathy and heart.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Actually, here, let's dive into this question a little further, because every company is bootstrapped before they're funded, if they're ever funded, right? So this is every company, right? How are you guys going to market, right? So I've seen a lot of marketing strategies. I can throw ideas around, but like, what is happening? What have you guys considered? What are you doing? I mean, down to like what you did in the pub, right? Like, or like you said in the cafe to talk to people, right?
Yeah. So for us, our marketing strategy is simple. It's being loud, as brash as possible, without, I can't even say this. Well, I can't say what I want to, but without annoying people. And we might annoy some of the right people. But I think for us, we need to do things and double down on marketing strategies that we really believe in. And then we need to do things that our competitors wouldn't consider doing because they're too risky, because they're too out there.
Yes.
And the exciting thing is we've not really done any of that yet. The most exciting thing that I've done is build in public, which is every day for the last, I think, half a year. I've reported on in the morning what the objectives are, and in the evening what the sit rep is or situation report is. So, like, what did I manage to hit? What didn't I do? And
on social media, on Twitter, Reddit,
on Twitter, I've been more consistent than LinkedIn. The past 2 weeks, you won't really find anything because I've been hungover with a virus and other things. But yeah, that's basically been us, and that's, I guess, one of those things. Building in public.
Build in public is that's itself a topic, right? Maybe that's where we take this. I do want to comment as someone who's done lots of experiential marketing, whether it's events or partnerships or and lots of things in the virtual world as well, sometimes in the physical world. Doing those brash, loud things, whether you call it PR or a stunt or whatnot. I was talking about this with someone where it's extremely hard to make a business case around these things, unless it's zero. But even then, it's your time. It's like, is this really the best way for us to spend our time to do this, like, again, like loudish thing that is going to reach 15 people, right? Who knows what, right? But there's something about how that all comes around and becomes the basis for more content, becomes the basis for, like, you might have made 15 real fans. I don't know. I just wanted to double click on that because it's a point I love to. I've started to find religion about this point, which is, as a startup, before you have big marketing budgets, go do some brash, loud things. Get super close to your customer, buy them drinks, like I don't know, right? Like, you could probably do way worse than just like taking your customers to bars and enjoying time with them. So, like, what kind of things were you doing that were brash and loud? Like, what sort of things have worked for you?
So we've not really done any of them yet. And that's the exciting thing, because we've not been in a position to do it. The one thing that I have been doing is, as I was saying before, doing this daily record of what are the objectives, what are we planning to do. But now that we have an MVP, I have some interesting ideas, which is, going back into those same cafes, going back into those spoons, and testing the app in real time with people, and doing a TikTok video or YouTube short on it. That's what we're looking to do.
There's that story of like of the early days of Stripe where the Collison brothers would just walk around their YC batchmates and just
Oh,
tap
really?
everyone on the shoulder and say, I'm downloading this on your computer, right? Or maybe it was a little bit of a question, but
Yeah,
obviously everyone. But what you told me about how you did your research, which is walking into a pub, putting a few bucks down, buying coffees,
yeah.
buying drinks, and then having just real world conversations. Have you turned any of those conversations into eventual customers? I bet you have, right? Some of
Yeah,
those were probably some of your earliest
yeah. I
leads.
mean, there's, all in the name of honesty. There's some people that, are on more of a wait list, so they want to wait a little
Right,
bit longer until
right.
um, until they come on board. But they see what we're doing, they believe in it, and then there's other, like anything. I would say don't waste time on people that don't believe straight away.
Yep, yep.
Push your effort into your evangelists, your first followers, that sort of thing, and yeah, that's what we're doing, and yeah, so
What's been your build in public philosophy? So you're doing it. And unpack that idea for folks, right? So we've got brash loud and we've got build in public, which can definitely go together. Give like some of your strategy or why. I mean, your tactics sound both simple, but I know it's never easy, and that's probably what everyone's listening. It's like, have you been really posting every day for 6 months? Like, how do you even manage that?
Yeah, well,
Not every day, but what I mean,
not
right?
not every day, because I've been ill a couple of times. I also broke my thumb playing rugby, but my thumb's back now, so that's good. But yeah, pretty much, and if I didn't post at a time because I was ill or whatever, then I've done a retrospective post. So pretty much for like the last 6 months, and I regret not doing it sooner. And the philosophy was the build in public thing was to create an honest account of what it is we're building, how it's going, and yeah, just to share our journey. I think because if this goes well, people can look back at the journey and they can go, wow, they were there and now they're here.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
even now, if you look back, 6 months, I don't think I started recording myself. It's probably about 5 months ago. And then, so I was recording myself every day.
Just doing like daily, like little Gary Vee style vlogs or something.
I don't follow him enough, but yeah, maybe like him. I don't know, but yeah, just if it's over 60 seconds, it's too long.
Right.
Yeah, and the purpose of
just to double down on that. Oh no, sorry, you keep.
Yeah, no.
Get your thought in there, Sim.
The purpose of that was to create a genuine account of what it is that we'd done and what it is that we didn't do. Because I think so often people see startups as this thing where you get everything right the whole time because they've heard, on some sort of, Y Combinator
podcast like this. Yeah.
That everything just goes right and it's all hunky dory. But it's not. The truth is, 9 out of 10 startups fail. The path to success isn't easy. And yeah, one of the other things I want to show is hopefully the determination that even though we fail day to day, even though we don't manage to get things done, that, hey, we're still there the next day. We're still turning up. We're still going to give it a shot. And we'll fail forward.
There's something, I mean, the authenticity is what gets your first customers, and knowing that you're going to be there for them. Again, marrying your authenticity for the customer from the I'm in your corner solving things that mean a lot to you. And this is how we're doing it. Right. And so you can see behind the curtain.
I mean, my wife hates
so many,
because the romance has gone down after sort of 10 p.m. I'm there on my phone having done my second post, trying to edit my post in bed. so yeah.
Oh, the life of a content creator. Yeah. We won't even go into what's unglamorous behind the scenes, but I mean, that's the nitty gritties of building in public, which is even when someone sees you posting your real life wins and failures, they don't even realize it is a lot of work and consistency. And that's what, just to bring it full circle, right? It's an amazing tactic for a bootstrap founder who doesn't have the cash to splash on big things. And really you're trading off cash for willpower, effort, and some ingenuity, right? Yeah. And that's kind of the nature of the game. That's pretty much all you got to trade. So
yeah,
that's
and you know what? If we fail in public, then we fail in public. But I've got no shame in that, because we've set out to do something honest. We've set out to try and help people. And yeah,
there's something. I'll kind of maybe wrap this up with this thought, which is, man, we're kind of gearing into another angle, which is the founder journey is so many mental everythings, right? And if you it's kind of like the people who look great on have like their Instagram vacations and they crash, right? It's because we know behind the scenes, and there's some dissonance, right? Yeah. To put that dissonance forward, to put the reality forward, is actually probably really therapeutic, cathartic. Yeah. And there's an important mindset there, which is, this is not, your business is not you. Like, life is going to happen and it's going to go on, and we don't need to get into that psychology, but just staying in the game. So really cool things you touched on, Sim. Thanks. Let's I think we've given folks a morsel of advice when it comes to bootstrap marketing, build in public. And we didn't talk about it, but go big, try some brash things. Why the heck not? And that could be as simple as posting up in a cafe and buying coffees, but do things that don't scale. I think was always going to benefit you, even if Absolutely. The ROI feels tough. So Sim, let's last thing, how can people find you? How can people connect? What's the CTA?
Yeah, so people can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. On Twitter, I'm X, I guess it is now. I'm SimGow1. And yeah, my email's simeon.gow@sorted.ai. I apologize for the two bizarre names put together, but I only have my parents to blame for that.
I think that's maybe there's an upside, very findable.
Very.
Yes, I have no idea.
I'm the only one that I know. So yeah.
Perfect. This has been the Backseat Startup Podcast. It brought to you, if you didn't know this, I bet you do, by Startup Founder Daily. Sim mentioned he was in the inaugural cohort of founders who went through the voting system and are in the top 3. Startup Founder Daily is a platform that showcases for you to showcase your startup and compete for free PR, like being on podcasts like this. So head over to startupfounderdaily.com and you can submit your company. And if you don't know me, I'm Andrew. I'm actually one of the founders of another startup called Day One. We're partnered with the Startup Founder Daily team. And at Day One, we offer personalized founder coaching tailored to help you get close to customers, nail your pitch, and map out your steps to grow and raise money. And you can go check what we're building out at joinday1.com. And you can join our community of over 500 founders. So that's us. That's Startup Founder Daily. This has been Sim with Sorted AI, and really appreciate everyone listening in. Sim, thanks so much for being here, and we'll let everyone get on their way.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Andrew. Cheers.